What's up, guys? Welcome to the MMA Killshot podcast presented by DFS Army. I am Sniper along with Monk. We're going to talk UFC Nashville, our main event. If you didn't see it on the thumbnail, it is Corey Sandhagen taking on Rob Font. Overall, a really good card. I think there's a lot of close fights, a lot of live dogs. We're going to break it all down. A little bit of a focus on DraftKings, but you bettors, you can join us as well. Make sure before we get started, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. That's all the promo I'm going to do, but do those two things. It helps us out. Monk, I'm really excited for this card. I'm probably the most excited I've been about a fight night card in a hot minute. What are you thinking?
I completely agree. Honestly, I think this is a great card for DraftKings as well. I do another show where we pick fights to fade, and I usually pick 4 for that category, and I had a hard time even getting 3. So there are a bunch of optimal fighters on this card, and yeah, I think it's going to be pretty fantastic.
All right, that being said, you know what? Let's just go. Let's jump right into it. We start with the main event. We're not gonna honey dick you. We're just gonna jump right into Corey Sandhagen. He's minus 325. More on that in a second. He's taking on Rob Font, who's plus 260. DraftKings, Sandhagen's 9,300. Rob Font is 6,900. That minus 325 line on Font is dumb, in my opinion. The problem is Rob Font is taking this fight on short notice. I came really close to picking Rob Font straight up a couple times this week. I was like right there. The reason being is we've seen Sandhagen, he can be hit by boxers. We saw what Petr Yan did to him. Just conventional boxing. Yan got his timing and was able to piece him up that way. I'm not saying Rob Font is as good of a boxer as Petr Yan, but I don't think there's any big skill set discrepancy there. It's close. I would pick Yan in that boxing match, but it's not a big difference. The issue is that Rob Font is taking this fight on short notice, and he's just hurt so often. It's hard to not see at some point Sandhagen having enough big moments and rounds, potentially getting a finish. It's hard to actually pull the trigger on the Rob Font pick. There's a lot of live dogs on this card. I think Rob Font probably, aside from the 2 I'm picking straight up, probably the most live dog I'm picking against on this card. More to come. Yeah, I'll honey dick you there. I got 2 dogs straight up I'm going to pick. I think he's the most live. Love the fight for DraftKings. Got 5 rounds to work with. I don't think it's quite an all-in fight because if Sandhagen just stays at range and the finish doesn't manifest itself, 9,300 is a lot, and there's some other slam spots I want to take advantage of, one in particular in the co-main. So I don't think it's an all-in DraftKings fight, but it's one I do want to have a healthy amount of exposure to, and it's got a very live dog. But my official pick is going to be for Corey Sandhagen. Monk, who do you have?
Yeah, I love this fight. I think I'm going to lean Sandhagen for my official pick as well. You broke it down really well. I want to give out one of the crazier stats that I've seen since 2021. Basically, since I've been tracking optimal salaries, these two have had 9 fights. 11 times total, either Sandhagen, Font, or their opponents have made the optimal lineup. Both Sandhagen and Rob Font have both been involved in optimal stacks. Sandhagen was against Petr Yan, and Rob Font was against Chito Vera. Both of these guys are scoring tons of points when they win overall. 106 for Sandhagen, 108 for Rob Font. And one of these guys, let's see, Sandhagen, when he loses in his 3 losses, gives up 104 points on average. So there are a ton of points here. For cash games, I really don't mind this optimal stack. Hopefully it gets extended. Hopefully what Sniper says, what Sniper wants is going to happen if Rob Font wins. Maybe it goes longer, round 4, round 5. Both guys could score incredibly well. In their losses, I think Rob Font, who was it against Chito Vera, scored 114 in a loss with no bonus points.
The optimal stack, if you want the stack to be optimal, the favorite almost always has to win.
Yep, that's exactly it. Because then the low end guy at 6,900, 68, whatever it is, can score 40, 50, 60, or in Rob Font's case, exponentially more than that and still make the optimal. So I love this fight, and I will be looking forward to rostering this. The pick is going to be Sandhagen.
Next fight up, let's talk Tatiana Suarez, Tatiana Habib, Tatiana Nurmagomedov. She's minus 375 and taking on Jessica Andrade, who's plus 290. Suarez is 9,500 on DraftKings. Andrade 6,700. Typically, Suarez is DraftKings gold. We're going to talk about it. We have to worry about the decline of Andrade. Is it real? Is it overblown? These are the things we have to analyze. Monk, you get to take on those challenges first.
Well, much like the fight I just talked about, I think this one is a pretty good fight to target overall. I mean, Andrade, specifically in 3-round strawweight fights, she's averaging 123 points per win in what is it, 6 wins or something like that? Yeah, 6 wins in 3-round strawweight fights, 5 of them over 100 points. Let's see, what was I gonna say? Controls 96.2% of all grappling time she's involved in, has the highest ceiling on the card when you only factor in the 3-round strawweight fights. Meanwhile, Suarez, everybody knows what Suarez is and what she can do. 6.5 points a minute, 120 points per win over her 5 wins. Her ceiling is just under Andrade. So these two overall, the way I calculate it, have the highest ceilings on the entire card. 4 of her 5 wins over 100, controls almost 99% of the grappling time. So you're gonna have to pick a side, or just I'll have more Andrade. I'll have more of the $6,700 salary this week than I usually do. That said, it probably won't be much. But when Andrade wins at the weight class, she scores an insane amount of points. Same with Suarez. I mean, she was a bit of a letdown last time at 9,500, and she barely scored, or she scored just under 100 points. So I mean, if our floor is like 99 in a win for Suarez, yes, I want to see more than that at 9,500. But Andrade has been just giving it up lately. So it just depends on how you see this fight going. I pick Suarez, and I will be putting her in a significant amount of lineups, maybe a few more than usual for the 6,700 this week.
There's other dogs who I think are more live to win. I tend to believe Andrade, yes, has fallen off a little bit. I think she's going to win some more fights. But Tatiana Suarez is real. The issues with Tatiana Suarez are the long layoff, the injury, and she is a bit one-dimensional. That being said, that one dimension, I have no faith Andrade can stop it. I mean, Erin Blanchfield beat her up on the feet. Blanchfield's not a great striker. I'm picking her to be a future champ, but she's not a great striker yet. She really isn't. And she hurt Andrade in the feet, took her down, sliced through her like butter. That's a problem against Tatiana. That's a real problem. The line might be a little wide, but I mean, Tatiana is a relatively big favorite. Seems justified to me. There's plenty of upside. I'm not too worried about the price range and salary because I think, as I've alluded to a couple times, there are a lot of live dogs on this card, and I think a couple will come through, and then I don't have to, as long as she scores, she's up in the top 6 of salary of score straight up. The salary, I don't think will matter. There's a couple dogs I think will win. There's a couple more that are live who could win. I don't think we're going to get priced out of her 105, and she could score more. And it depends on the week it is too. It was just last week where 105 was the highest score on the whole slate. Like it just kind of, it's slate dependent in that way. So I like Suarez to win. I like the grappling to come through. I think Andrade, sure, she's live, but I think there's better spots, and I'll be a little nervous being under on her, but there's other dogs I prefer more than Jessica Andrade. All right, let's talk next fight. Let's go Kennedy Nzechukwu. He's minus 170, taking on Dustin Jacoby at plus 140. Nzechukwu is 8,400 on DraftKings. Comeback on Jacoby is 7,800. I guess this one is on me to start first, and it's an interesting case in that I think Jacoby is sure live and it's a small underdog. I don't see many scenarios where Jacoby breaks this late in terms of DraftKings scoring. He's been in a lot of split decisions. He's probably better than his record indicates. I lean towards Kennedy because I think he's the one still growing as a fighter. I think he'll be a little bit faster, a little bit stronger. I think Jacoby will have the technical advantages, but in terms of looking for a big moment on this fight to score well and to finish the fight, or just put stamps on rounds and take the decision that way, I think Kennedy Nzechukwu is more likely to have more big moments. I think Jacoby's going to have to be pretty much perfect a lot of the fight, or just maintain, like, just point fight. And at light heavyweight, it's tough to do. It's why he's lost close decisions. One of them, I think he did get robbed out of a win, but it's just one of those. I think Kennedy will have more big moments. We saw, was it a ninja choke last time out, or a Darce choke? I forget what it was. No, the ninja choke was, I'm thinking of Mayra Bueno Silva against Holly Holm, the ninja choke. But, he's got the long arms. He can lock up all kinds of front chokes if Jacoby closes the distance. Again, more power, more speed. It's just, put it this way, if Jacoby wins for DraftKings, I still don't think he's going to hit the optimal. If Kennedy wins, he's super live for it. That instinctively makes me just lean towards him for DraftKings and the pick wise. Like I said, just I think he's more apt to have more big moments. So I give the slight edge to Kennedy and Nzechukwu in this one. Monk, who you picking?
Yeah, I think I agree. When you take a quick look at it, Dustin Jacoby kind of scores well overall for
Weird.
his 6 wins in the UFC. But then if you look closer, it's more of a bit up and down. You can't just look at the average, and it's a bit more consistently down than it is up. For instance, when he beat Michael Oleksiejczuk, he scored less than 80 points. Surprised a few people when he beat Da Woon Jung, scored 105. But other than that, I mean, he did put up 48 and 42 in his last 2 losses. So I don't mind his floor. If you're looking for someone a little different, maybe for cash, maybe you can think about Jacoby. But even then, I think he's 7,800. So that is a bit expensive, in my opinion, for what you're probably going to get out of him. Meanwhile, Nzechukwu, 3 in a row, Roberson, Kutalaba, and Devin Clark. He scored decently well in all of them. The Kutalaba one, only 91. But other than that, well over 100 points. So I think I agree. He's also 6'5", and Jacoby's not small, and he should look pretty dwarfed almost by Kennedy if you count his hair as well. Put him in about 6'8". So
I
yeah,
don't
he's
think we
got
can count the hair.
Yeah, probably not. So he's got a 7-inch 5-inch reach advantage as well. I think you nailed it. He's gonna have his moments a little bit more often, and he has looked pretty good recently. This could be kind of a gatekeeping type fight for Dustin Jacoby. We'll see if he can break out of that mold in this fight, but if not, he might be settled into that role for a few more fights.
We move on to talk about the darling of a recent card in Diego Lopes. He is at -170, taking on the vet Gavin Tucker at +140. A little bit of line value here as people are betting up Lopes. He's at 8,300 on DraftKings. Tucker 7,900. And I'm on board with the line movement. Monk, you're first for this one though. Who you got?
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. If the numbers say, and I'm a big numbers guy, the numbers say you really can't play either one of these guys. I mean, Tucker, if it is false, if you look at Tucker, is he coming off shoulder surgery or a couple of injuries, something like that? But he scored very well against Quarantillo. Granted, that was back in 2020. He would have put up 120 points, 103 against Sungwoo Choi back in 2019. Lopes had the unfortunate draw of getting Movsar Evloev in his first fight and got relatively smashed. He did have a couple of moments, but just by the numbers, I mean, he got smushed on by Movsar there. So you kind of got to throw that one out. What's upsetting is he is 2-3, I believe, in his last 5 fights. Of course, I can't find the number now, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's 2-3. I just don't know. I know a lot of people are on Lopes here, probably by submission, and I can totally see it. If Tucker is indeed finished, if the injuries have piled up, and the long layoff, almost 2.5 years for Gavin Tucker, then Diego Lopes at 28 years old could come in here and get this done. So I suppose I do lean with Lopes. I wish I could have seen something more in that Movsar fight, but I'm just gonna have to try. I mean, he lasted, but Movsar goes to decision with everybody, and according to, he controlled like 4% of that fight. He only landed 37 strikes. He got outstruck by 50 strikes. Less than 2.5 a minute. Got taken down 4 times. I mean, maybe he knocked him around a little bit, but I mean, he's not going to do much against that. I just. Against Gavin Tucker, he's no Movsar Evloev. So I am giving Lopes the lean, but that's just because Tucker seems like he's done.
Okay. I had a call a little bit of craziness here. Screw the numbers. Screw them in this case. Like every time that Movsar took down Diego Lopes, I think there was 4 takedowns in that fight, I believe. There was some close ass submissions. There was a front choke in there. There's a knee bar towards the end of the fight that
the knee bar I definitely remember now that you bring it up. But
the Diego Lopes, he, on the feet, aggressive, forward pressure, straight punches, relatively big punches, and he's I like the line movement. You mentioned the layoff at Tucker, the injuries. I also think typically what he's going to do best is wrestle. I don't think he wants to wrestle in this fight because this is why I like Lopes quite a bit in this fight. Tucker should not want to offensively wrestle. If he does, he runs the submission risk and the BJJ getting swept. I think that's a problem. On the feet, I mean, I think Diego Lopes throws straighter and harder. Tucker kind of loops. I think he's slowing down and he's older. And in that kind of war, give me Lopes. Everything that Tucker's going to want to do, I think Lopes is a bad matchup for him. Now, that being said, Tucker's been around. He's more a veteran, and maybe that it was a flash in the pan on the Lopes side. Maybe. But what I've seen, I'll go with the younger guy. I'll go with the guy who throws straighter punches, and I'll go with I think the better grappler. Tucker, sure he's live, but I like the line movement. I'm with everybody betting up Diego Lopes. I will say the opposite side thing I can see is playing a little bit of Tucker because I think he's going to be really low owned. But for the most part, I'm on the Tucker side of this one, the Lopes side of this one. Probably one of my favorite plays on the card. I wish he wasn't going to be so fucking chalky. That's the upsetting part to me. All right, let's go ahead and talk about one of the fights that excite me the absolute fucking least on this card. Like, you want to talk about a fight to scratch off? Who would have thought it'd be the light heavyweights? Tanner Boser, minus 155, take on Alexa Camur at plus 130. Boser's 8,700. Camur is 7,500. I'm sure I'm going to end up clipping this out from my TikTok and Twitter pages, and maybe I'll look stupid. This light heavyweight fight is going to fucking suck. I've never been so sure big guys are going to blow in my life. And maybe Tanner Boser will make me eat shit, but Alexa Camur is not good. Tanner Boser is less not good, but just a technical volume striker, and I don't think it's going to be fun to watch. I just don't. And God, I like face punching. I don't see a lot of ways for this fight to score big, other than, I mean, they're both big light heavyweights, I guess, but neither one of them throw a lot of volume. Neither one are going to look to grapple, really. I'm at a loss for this fight. Like, I'll pick Boser because I think he's better technically. Because as I said in the intro, I think he's less bad. But I'm interested to see what Boser's done moving down to light heavyweight. He got steamrolled by Cutelaba last time out. That's what Cutelaba does, though. He either lands something like that early, or you're going to fade and beat him. He got to Boser. That's going to happen at light heavyweight. But it's now or never for Boser. So unless there's some urgency he's going to tap into that I just haven't seen yet, or that is going to come out of him because his back's up against the wall, I just don't think this fight will score well. It's hard to handicap those things. So give me Tanner Boser to win a decision in which I am probably enjoying a beverage or two. Monk, who you got?
Yeah, I probably agree. This is like, what did Boser say after his last one? Please, if you give me one more, I'll try to, he was not begging, but it was, he didn't even know after his last performance, his loss to Cutelaba after moving down, if he was going to get another fight in the UFC. So now they give him another guy on this card with over 2 years off since his last UFC fight. Alexa Camur, didn't even know he was still like rostered. I had no clue. His only win was to Justin Ledette. Beat him by decision, scored 68.5 points in that one. And Boser's only win in his last 5 was OSP. He scored 93 points in a KO TKO win in the second round. So short of, Boser, one of these guys absolutely starching the other in the first minute, maybe in the first round, but even a first round KO probably wouldn't even land these guys optimal because, like you said, it's extremely low volume. And Boser's 8,700 this week. Let's see. He was 88 against Nasi. Yeah, he's been over that a couple of times, but not by much. So give me Boser, I guess, because I didn't even know Alexa Camur was still a thing. But yeah, I'm going to just be really upset if one of these guys deads the other, Justin Tafa style in the first round. And I have like next to none of this ownership, but I won't be the only one. So I'll take my chances.
Yeah, accurate. I'll be with you. All right, next up, we're going to talk Ignacio Bahamondes. He is minus 225 and 9,100 on DK. Taking on Ludovic Klein, who's plus 190 and 7,100 on DraftKings. 9,100 is a lot for minus 225, Monk. What do you got?
Yeah, that's true, but we'll talk about him later. There's a guy way more expensive with shorter odds than that.
Yes.
So, I guess in retrospect, it depends on who you compare it to, I guess. But I like Bahamondes overall. He's on a 3-fight win streak after losing his his debut to McDessie. This guy's been involved in 3 catchweight fights. 3 out of his 4 fights have been at catchweight. Only the Roosevelt Roberts where both him and his opponent made weight. So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, I like Bahamondes, 6'3" to 5'7". The reach is only 3 inches, which should be interesting. But Bahamondes, I mean, this dude throws like a freaking spider. I mean, he is everywhere with legs, with hands coming from way different directions all the time. Unfortunately, he doesn't score very well overall when he wins. He beat Trey Ogden at less than 70 points, just under 100 against Zhu Rong and 103 against Robert. So I guess I'll take some of that back. Just his last fight didn't score well. Meanwhile, Klein drew against Jai Herbert, but then beat Mason Jones, Devontae Smith before that. I'm just hoping. I mean, he has looked decent overall, also not scoring well whatsoever. So for DraftKings, I'm just going to probably avoid Klein at 7,100. Even if he wins, what's he averaging? Like 70 points, 73 points. That might not even do it at a very cheap salary. So give me Bahamondes, but I probably like a few other fighters in this range a little better. But I think he wins here over Klein. I just don't know about an early finish.
Yeah, I'm with you in terms of I like Bahamondes to win straight up in a striking match. I don't see a lot of scoring potential here. I think hit it, and neither guy's going to look to grapple. I don't really see a finish in the cards. I should pull up the finish odds for this fight really quick. Give a little bit more detail here.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they favored finish.
Pick 'em.
Yep.
It is dead pick 'em. Minus 115, fight goes to decision. So it's about right. I think there's probably a little bit of value in the goes to decision here. As strikers, it's just, and he's 9,100. I don't know. Klein is not one of the super live dogs on the card. I think Bahamondes wins. I don't think he scores particularly great. He's 9,100. I got to deal with Tatiana Suarez, Corey Sandhagen in that range. How much interest are you really going to have on DraftKings is straight up value wise? Minus 225 feels a little bit steep. Probably about right. Klein, I'm not comfortable enough at plus 190. Like, seems like a no bet type of thing for me. On Saturdays, if you follow me on TikTok, I kind of put out best bets for each fight. I bet you end up betting this fight either goes to decision or the over 2.5 rounds. Like, that's probably where the value is in this fight. And DraftKings pretty ho hum. I mean, nothing too exciting here. They all can't be bangers. This one could be a banger, though. I'm excited for this fight. Kyler Phillips, minus 210, taking on Raoni Barcelos at plus 170. Phillips is 9,000 on DraftKings, and Barcelos is 7,200. Here's why this fight is going to be fun. Barcelos is probably going to look to grapple, to wrestle specifically, and Kyler Phillips is a ninja who just throws crazy shit for a round and a half and then gets tired. Like that's how this fight's going to go. And either Kyler Phillips is going to land a ton of volume, maybe get a finish, or just ends up with a big old score volume once if he doesn't get tired. Or he does in the second round. It could be earlier too. If Barcelos can get his wrestling going, which I'm surprised he hasn't been able to more often. I think he can take down Phillips and do some good work here and have a good score at 7,200. Barcelos is one of those live dogs I'm looking at for this card. But my pick has to be it has to be Kyler Phillips. That being said, he knows he has the gas tank issue. I feel like it'd be shocking to me if he lost round one. He's going to have more power on the feet, a more varied skill set in terms of striking. He's not an incompetent wrestler. Like Barcelos could have success and he's probably the better wrestler. But I think Phillips will be able to get back up. I think he could even reverse position. He's just all around slightly a little bit better. And he's the younger guy. Barcelos is an aging 135er, which is sad because he's a fun fighter. I've liked him since he came into the UFC. Kyler Phillips is another guy, man. Tons of volume, tons of pressure. I think he can manage that a little bit better. I think he can do some things in this division. I will say DraftKings wise, it's not an all-in type of fight because there's that very obvious script of Phillips wins early, can't quite do enough to get a finish, kind of fades off, and there's the winner's going to score 80 points either way. That'd be fine for Barcelos. It's not going to get there for Phillips. And even on this card, Barcelos, 80 points. Both have upside to score way more than that, but there's just too obvious of a script for me to just jam this fight in tons of lineups, especially when there's a few fights I do want to jam in coming up. I think one is the very next fight. I think this fight is plus 115 to end inside the distance. Like we're not expected to see a finish here, so doesn't feel great for DraftKings. I would actually say Barcelos is a pretty live cash play at those odds. So pick though is going to be Kyler Phillips. Monk, who you got?
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with that one here. 9K is just a bit much for Phillips. Last fight he scored just under 99, but before that he won against Song Yadong 73, 97, and then 90 against Silva. That Paiva one was interesting. Lost the majority decision. He has landed 14 takedowns in his past 5 fights, so that is definitely something to look forward to. But let's see, takedowns against less than 1 takedown landed against per 15 minutes. Obviously, if Barcelos, has a clear path here, like you said, and I think he's going to go for it. I'm more interested to see how Phillips is going to pay off this 9K salary this week. I just really don't see it happening overall, or in his past 5 fights. So I guess in his past 4 wins, he's averaging just 90 points overall per win. So I just don't know. Like you said, there's some other people in this range, especially in the next fight, that I will be looking to get in, and I just don't see Kyler Phillips being one of them. I don't mind Barcelos as a little bit of a dog shot just because he's so cheap. Neither one of these guys has made the optimal lineup since 2021, so just going to be a little bit less on this one than the other ones for sure, but I am picking Phillips to win.
Moving right along, we do things speedy here on the kill shot. We got Jeremiah Wells, minus 125 at 8,500. Carlston Harris, plus 105, 7,700. A little bit of line value here on Harris that I wasn't quite aware of, and that's a little bit sad because this is one of those 2 dogs I was picking straight up, but I can't get ahead of myself. Monk, you're first, and what I think we're both thinking is going to be a fight 2 targets.
Yeah, 100%. I don't mean 100% target, but yes, I 100% agree with you. Carlston Harris is definitely a good dog pick. Both of these guys optimal in 3 out of their past 4 fights. Harris dropped his only fight to Shavkat Rakhmonov, so some decent competition there, in my opinion.
You better not knock that competition, boys and girls. That man's scary.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a big Shavkat guy for sure. 112 against Gooden, 110 against Impa Kasanganai, and 94 against Aguilera. Meanwhile, Wells has just kind of been on a tear. 4 in a row. Alves, Blood Diamond, not the best name. Court McGee, I mean, it's a good name, but as far as skills. And then Matthew Semmelsberger. That win's not aging terribly well after his loss last week, but it is a 3rd round split decision win regardless. So both guys scoring very well. Over 100 points per win, easy. Something about how long can this go on for Jeremiah Wells? And I'm not saying Carlston Harris is like the cream of the crop, as Macho Man would say, but I do think he's worth a little bit of a dog shot here at 7,700. I also don't think you can go wrong at 8,500 if you think Wells comes out here and does what Wells has been doing in all 4 of his fights. So I like both sides of this one, but I am going to be leaning with the underdog here, Carlston Harris, and that will show in my exposure this week.
Yeah, I am pretty high on the Harris side, but again, Wells just runs through guys, or look less than out. He didn't look great, but he's able to get takedowns. He's an explosive, big, powerful guy. Like I just pull up the thumbnail real quick. Look how fucking big Jeremiah Wells is. He's a big, big dude. That being said, I think Carlston Harris is the more skilled fighter. I think he's better technique-wise. He hits plenty hard. And that's where I think he's going to win this. I think he's going to be that test for Wells, the first guy that Wells can't run through, and that Harris is just able to pick apart from the outside, tire out, and potentially even find a finish. That said, if Jeremiah Wells were to go out there and land a nuke on Carlston Harris, am I going to be surprised? Absolutely not. The money has come in on Harris. I think most people are thinking along the lines that I am. But Wells is a good DraftKings target if that's what you're here to listen for. Great GPP targets. If he could go out and pull a Derek Lewis last week, which, by the way, I wish I was on the podcast with you and Geek last week. I was all about Derek Lewis. I talked him up big time.
Yeah, we needed that. We did need that for sure.
Because did you know, just quick aside, I said it on Twitter and I said it in our room. So we were on I do the VIP cash game building show, and we ended up, the primary that I put together is I punted Ferguson, which worked out well, and just paid up a little bit. And it was fine. There were a couple different options, but nowhere in the ballpark of my thought process was Peizao on cash games, and he was 56% owned and got 0 points. I was like, he was 56% owned. I pulled that from the $25 single entry.
56%.
Why? because there was a little bit of odds value. Like same thing here. Like there's and the reason I bring it up, there's some odds value on Carlston Harris, plus 105, 7,700, near pick'em, underdog price. His floor is the same as Pesaus's. It's fucking 0. We want to build a floor in cash games. Do not do that. This is a GPP fight to target. One I definitely do want to target. I am going to pick Carlston Harris straight up though, and kind of, I think vet lesson's not the right word because Harris isn't some big vet, but the first time Wells doesn't run through somebody or just physically dominate them, I think he's going to have a problem. I think this is the spot. If not, I guess we'll sail on and find it in the future. But the pick for this one for me is Carlston Harris. Now we talk about Billy Q, everybody's favorite, my Long Island guy, minus 180 at 8,900. Damon Jackson, the comeback is plus 150 at 7,300. And while Billy Q is my Long Island guy, I can't pick him. I can't do it. Damon Jackson, I am on the dog here. And it's mostly, if this was a pick 'em fight, I'd start hemming and hawing. And I kind of hem and haw a little bit about the pick overall, but in terms of value, I think the value here is on Damon Jackson. And I don't think it's particularly close. The fact that we have all, or you all, whoever you are, everyone's jumped off this bandwagon of Damon Jackson. Remember how high he was hyped up? And he gets knocked out by Dan Ige. Okay. Well, why is that all of a sudden cause for like, okay, this guy sucks? Dan Ige, who his losses, his recent losses are Cater, Korean Zombie, Josh Emmett, Mavzar Evloev. But like, okay, he's still Dan Ige. He's still the guy who beat Edson Barboza, who beat Mirsad Bektik. Like he's got some legit wins in there. No, Bektik has fallen off a little bit, but well, a lot of it. But against top level competition, like that's what seems to get lost in competition here. Again, I could draw the Derek Lewis comparison to last week. Yeah, he was losing to guys in the top 10, like Tai Tuivasa. And who else recently knocked out Derek
Sergey?
Lewis?
Was it?
Pavlovich? Yeah, and Sergey and Pavlovich, who's going to be champ, by the way. I think John Jones wants no part of Sergey Pavlovich. No part. John Jones will not fight Sergey Pavlovich. He won't. No, because he'll get nuked. That being said, like level of competition. Okay, Damon Jackson lost to Dan Ige. Happens. Now we get. Against Billy Q. And Billy Q, I think this is a really evenly matched fight. Billy Q just overwhelms people, just keeps coming with pressure. He gets hurt every fight, and that's not what you want from an underdog. He gets hurt, wars his way through it. Props to him. Love watching him fight. Always in a fun fight. Damon Jackson can grapple, can bring a decent amount of pressure. He's been pretty durable himself in his career. Yes, Damon Jackson's been finished before. Yeah, Ilya Taporia one-shotted him. All right, I get it. If you look at his record, like he's got losses on there, but it's these big guys who seem to beat him, or he gets dragged in late. This is where I'm worried. If Damon Jackson can't stabilize this fight, Billy Q is live for a big score. And even though I'm picking against Billy Q, I think it's a good DraftKings play. I think this fight is going to score very, very well, even if it's fight ends inside the distance on this fight is. It's actually minus 175. Cool, I like it even more. These guys are going to throw down and score points. Whoever comes out on top, I think will score well. I think it should be closer to a pick'em. I think everyone's off of Damon Jackson a little bit too fast, and that makes me like him for the straight up pick. But this is going to be a wild fight. I think you can make the case for Jackson in cash because it's high volume, but again, it's a risky floor with those numbers. Not my favorite. Don't play Billy Q in cash. That is not a cash game play. I got to go with Jackson here. This fight should be closer, and I love when the public writes somebody off, and I go, why? Someone explain this to me, why? And maybe he'll get finished again, but it feels like we're all off the bandwagon a little bit too soon. So Damon Jackson is the official pick. Monk, who you got?
Yeah, I like it. I like that pick. I kind of agree. He is 4-1 in his last 5, while Billy Q just 2-3, losing to Barboza, Burgos, and the aforementioned Gavin Tucker back in 2020. Did go all 3 with Tucker, and he has scored pretty well in those losses outside of the Barboza fight, Billy Q, and that's really why you have to target him. overall. He is 4-3 in 3-round featherweight fights. He scores 126 points per win, and he gives up 116 points per loss. Like, you just got to target both sides of this one, if for nothing else that reason. Damon Jackson, less than 92 per win, and he gives up 106 per loss at the weight class as well. But Damon Jackson can get away with that, shorter ceiling because he's way cheaper this week than Billy Q. I think he's 73, so something like that.
Yep.
7,300, yes, this week. Whereas Billy Q, you got to pay up, sounds like, to 8,900 just to get him in your roster. So I do like both sides of this fight. Don't get me wrong. I'll have some of Billy Q rostered as well, but Damon Jackson at 73 could be the steal of a century if Billy Q does what he's been doing, which is getting beat and getting a ton of points scored on him. So really all Damon Jackson has to do to make the optimal is win decently. But if he gets something done inside the distance, that's almost closer and closer to a guarantee at 7,300. So I love the pick, and I love the play on DraftKings too.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's cue up the next fight. Jake Hadley is our boy here, minus 195, taking on Cody Durden at plus 160. Hadley's 8,800 on DraftKings. Durden is 7,400. This is going to be an interesting one scoring wise. Monk, you can take this one away first.
Well, for pretty much the same reasons as I just mentioned, you have to play the other fight. You got to play this one because Cody Durden fights score well historically. 105 points when he wins. He gives up 109 overall when he loses. Meanwhile, Jake Hadley, I'm looking at the wrong number here. 107 points per win, and he only gave up 83 when he lost. So a lot of points flying around these Durden fights, and Hadley has generally been scoring pretty well. 109 against Candelario at 9,200, 104 against Malcolm Gordon at 9,300. So this week we're getting him even cheaper at $8,800. So I really don't mind either side of this. I mean, Hadley seems to be the chalkier play, but he is scoring over 3 points a minute. And like I said, almost 107 or so per win. Durden on the other side is the optimal maker. He makes optimal 3 out of his last 5 fights, and he's only 7,400. So if his game plan doesn't completely fail and he pulls Gilly and just gets and doesn't get the shit kicked out of him, I think Durden's also live to put up a decent score at 7,400. So tons of takedowns, rinse and repeat options if Jake Hadley is able to get up. Overall, I'm probably picking Hadley, but I'll definitely have some of both guys on my rosters this week.
In terms of the kind of X and O's to this one, Cody Durden is our relentless wrestler. He just wants to wrestle, shoot takedowns. Doesn't matter how tired he is, he's going to do it. Should score great for DraftKings. What worries you about that is Jake Hadley and Cody Durden has been caught in many submissions. He will get caught, and Jake Hadley can do that. It's an interesting situation in that I think Durden might wins this fight if he doesn't get subbed. I kind of think he gets subbed. That's how I think this fight plays out. Is I saw him take enough reckless shots. I don't think he's good enough on the feet for Hadley. I don't think it's a masterclass, but I think Hadley's better on the feet, and I think Durden's going to have to get into that relentless grappling. And unless he exhausts Hadley, which is possible, I don't think it's Durden's live for sure. He is one of those live dogs that I was thinking about picking because the path is clear, the relentless wrestling. I just think that Hadley's going to be able to stop enough, land some good strikes in the feet, make Durden do something desperate, and either lock up a sub or just eventually Durden's so tired he can't hit the takedowns anymore. That being said, Durden's live to the big score. I lean towards Hadley. I do like this fight to target both sides of this fight, but the official pick for me, I still have to lean on Jake Hadley. Now we move on to Sean Woodson. He's minus 180, taking on his 10th opponent, 11, 12, 13 for Fighter X, which is calling up Dennis Buzukja at plus 150. Woodson is 9,600. Dennis is 7,500. Let me explain how this DraftKings pricing happened for those of you who are not familiar. DraftKings sets everybody's prices based on the odds of a fight at the start of the week. Once you have a salary and they release the slate, contests come out, they can't change it because you can't change salary across the board. You just can't. They have to pull down the entire slate. So Woodson gets a cancellation. He has one opponent step in. We don't even get salary for that one before he gets pulled out. Jesse Butler, by the way, who, if Nevada let him fight concussed after the Jim Miller knockout, that'd be a real fucking issue. Like, thank God they pulled Jesse Butler, because that was bad. We get Contender Series alumni Dennis Buzukja, whose name I'm sure I'm not saying right, but it's a harder fight for Woodson, and the odds indicate that because they gave Dennis his salary based on his odds to win, plus 150. So he's 7,500. And that's why Woodson is priced all the way up at 9,600, and he's still minus 180. It's unfortunate. It makes him not a good DraftKings play at all. I can't play him. Can't do it. In terms of X's and O's, short notice fight for Dennis. Don't like it. I think Woodson's a better striker. Don't think he'll get takedown. Dennis will get takedowns. I have to pick Woodson straight up. But on DraftKings, he's live because I've seen tons of holes in Woodson. I've seen Woodson flatlined. I've seen Woodson with terrible fight IQ. Like, I can't trust Sean Woodson. And it's sad because his nickname is fucking Sniper. I can't play this motherfucker. I just can't do it. It's upsetting.
I didn't think about that.
So, like, I want to be all over him, but I'm not. So I think Woodson does win. The only thing that interests me a little bit is that minus 180, 9,600, nobody's going to play him. And we got a short notice opponent who, if he decides to get into a firefight, Woodson is a slick striker. He could get a knockout. The odds, actually, I think the fight goes to decision is like minus 140 or something. Like, it should go to decision as well. It's not a lot to love on this fight other than the game theory perspective, but I still am going to pick Sean Woodson. I gotta at least pick the Sniper, for fuck's sake. Monk, who you got?
Yeah, the only beef I have with the DraftKings side of things is they posted Woodson versus Butler after like 11 a.m. Tuesday at some point, because that's the last time I checked. Whatever it was, we already knew Butler was not fighting, and we knew that Myron Santos was his opponent. So they posted 96. They posted the Butler fight after Butler was already pulled from the card, and the odds on the first odds that I saw on Myron and Woodson were minus 115, minus 105. So Woodson should be 8,200 this week. And instead, he's the most expensive fighter on the card.
I got to jump in for a second because you know what? All of us who've been around this space for a while, I take every opportunity I can to fucking slam fight metrics. I didn't forget who you are because you go by UFCstats.com. You don't have a Twitter account. There's plenty of guys like Richard Mann who's on. Like, I know the guys behind the scenes. Fight metrics, UFC stats, they're fucking idiots. I don't know what the fuck they're watching half the time. I kind of think there's some collusion in there if you start looking into lineups and who they have, and like fight metrics is scummy. UFC, who the DraftKings service provider is fucking awful. Pick a new provider. Like, it's so scummy. And you notice when we all were calling them out and yelling every week, something real screwy would happen. All of a sudden, there's no fight metrics anymore. It's UFCstats.com. No, the stat provider, and that's what DraftKings will say. That's who our stat provider had. I've been yelling about this for at least 5 years. I'm going to keep yelling about it every chance I get. DraftKings stat provider, UFCstats.com, is run by a company called Fight Metrics, and fuck those guys. Back to you.
Yeah, I completely agree there. It'd be nice to have complete transparency with the actual stats. That would be very nice. But yeah, either way, Woodson should be one of the cheaper favorites on the card, and instead, because DraftKings can't figure anything out, he is now the most expensive. You basically can't play him. He did score 122 against Colin England, so there is a history of him possibly paying off a very high salary. And the only other thing I would say about this fight is unnatural salaries, meaning salaries that don't add up to 16,200. Someone makes the optimal lineup 83% of the time since 2021 from those salaries.
Do you have stats how often the total is over or under the 16.2 mark? Because I'd be interested. There's plenty of times that the fight is like 7,400 versus 7,100, and then you're going to get optimal. But I'm curious when it's.
I'm pretty sure it's. I'd have to double check. I don't have that up on my screen at the moment, but I know I have that somewhere. It's just something I wanted to see right before this. But yeah, I will check on that because this is one where it's very far apart. There's no 74, 71. It's 96 and 75. I mean, obviously I'll be some on the 75 because like you said, Woodson's been smashed. He's been knocked down. He's been woozy. That last fight was against Saldana, the ultimate fight IQ just drain fight from both sides. It's
was
insane to watch. Absolutely insane to watch. I've never seen coaches screaming at their fighters like that before.
Oh, I can think of one example. Come on, Andre Sukumta and Sugar O'Malley.
Oh, yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah,
you could have just
absolutely
saved us
right about
tons of fucking heartache, Andre. Just stand up.
Stand him up, and he goes, wow, insane. But yeah, I don't really like this fight for DraftKings. Like you said, it's a total game theory play. I'll have some on 75, but 96. I mean, if Woodson didn't fight England and score 122, I'd have no problem giving him a 0. But we've got a newcomer in Buzukja. Who knows, man? Who knows? I'll probably be fading it a little bit. I don't expect him to make the optimal lineup.
Who knows? Just like you said, who fucking knows?
Yeah, who fucking knows?
All right, we talk about a newcomer who's favored now, Almabaev. He's minus 190, 8,600. Like a little bit of odds value there. Taking on Osbourne at plus 150, 7,600. I know you're skeptical of the newcomer, especially quality competition, and I have those concerns here about Almabaev. But Monk, can we overcome them? I want to play this guy.
Me too. So do I. I mean, whoever comes out wearing that flag, I'm automatic, and it's how most people see EVs, OVs. We already mentioned Shavkat. When I see the Kazakhstan flag, and if you have any kind of hat with fur on it, there's almost a non-zero chance I won't be betting against you. Know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be favoring you regardless. So I like Asu here. I think Ode at this point, not to say that he's old or washed or anything like that. I don't think he is. But this is a nice little welcome to the UFC fight for Almabaev. Not in the sense that he should steamroll Ode, but in the sense of we're going to know exactly where Asu is after this fight is over. Win or lose, we're going to know what this guy's all about, which I'm excited for. Osbourne didn't look great against Charles Johnson, scored less than 70 points in that win. He lost to Tyson Nam in the year 2022, which is not great. 102 points against Zaruk and sub 70 against Vergara. So just not the best score. I have no problem kind of fading Osbourne here, even at the cheap price. Actually, he's more expensive than I thought, 7,600. For some reason, I was thinking he was 72 this week, but 76 is a bit much. I don't think Osbourne has a good floor, especially in this fight, and that's my main issue with him. So I will take the potential value from the Kazakhstani, or the Kazakh, is that what we call him? From Kazakh, that reason, the Kazakh Asu Almabaev here. I want to see what he's all about.
Yeah, it's. I want to play Almabaev because he's going to relentlessly grapple, but he's been, wrestle fucking scrubs in Kazakhstan. Like that's the problem. Like,
yep,
okay, but do I think
the Nomad League or whatever it is?
do I think Ode Osbourne is anything great though? No, I don't. Could he? It's a quality competition thing that I can't quite get my head around. It's why I'm kind of playing both sides. I'm leaning. The pick for me is going to be Almabaev because I like the wrestling. I do think he'll be able to do it. Just what I've been able to break down on tape and kind of see the way he goes for his entry is relentless. The pressure he puts on guys, I think it matches up well against Ode Osbourne. I can't tell you I'm 100% there, but I like the play. I think this fight scores well on DraftKings regardless. But that relentless grappling and the hat with fur, I like the breakdown. That is some high-level technical analysis here on the Killshot. No, but I do think he's able to control the fight with the grappling, and I'll go with Almabaev for my pick straight up.
I was going to say, and if you trained an animal to kill that animal that you're now wearing on your head, I'm putting everything on it. That's all there is to it. Isn't that the story that Shavkat trained a falcon to kill that animal that he wears on his head?
Something like that. Something dumb.
Just beautiful.
All right, you know what time it is now, guys. It's time for the kill shots. What we name this podcast. Under-own leverage type of play on DraftKings. Big favorites typically do not count unless you're going to go Sean Woodson. That would be a kill shot this week. Somebody the field's not going to be on.
I was going to joke about that.
Who's going to score well. I was all about Lewis last week. I wasn't on the show because Geek had Hamilton tickets, and I just think he doesn't want me to look good. I think he knows when I have a good one in the chamber because this is a tough one this week, and I think I kind of have come to the executive decision that I don't think I can justify Damon Jackson. I think he's going to be one of the biggest, the most popular favorites on the card. So I think I have to go someplace else. And while I'm sure you'll take whoever I'm going to land on, go ahead. Monk, who you got for a kill shot?
Taking your chances, letting me pick first. All right, well, it's down to 2. I already told you. So if you're on one of those 2, it's a 50-50 shot. I'm going to lean Carlston Harris this week at 7,700. And you haven't made a reaction yet, so I don't think I took yours. Carlston
It was
Harris,
one of the 2 I was flip-flopping on.
there you go. 77. I love that salary. I love the price. First of all, that salary performs fantastically, makes a ton of optimals when it wins. So I do love that. Obviously, it's score dependent. And Carlston Harris has also proven, as I read off earlier, that he averages well over 100 points per win. Only loss was against Shavkat, who we've somehow brought up 14 times in the show, and it should be more than that. But yeah, Wells' train has to end at some point. And I tell you what, I'll roll the dice and put it on this one. Give me Carlston at 77.
So I said, of my straight up picks of underdogs, it was Damon Jackson, who does not count, and Carlston Harris. Those are the only dogs I picked to win straight up. I said I got to go with a dog. So I'm going to go with the one we started the night with, and I told you I've been this close to picking all week long. Give me Rob Font. I'll take the salary. I'll take the punt. I'll take him shocking the world on short notice. I'll take all you haters jumping off because, come on, it's Rob Font time. It's Rob Font season. So that's who I'll go with for my kill shot, although I'll quickly backdoor and say my official pick was Sandhagen. But Font for the kill shot. Font for the kill shot. All right, that's what we got for this week's episode of the MMA Killshot. As I said a few weeks ago, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, or fuck off. No, I'm just kidding. We do appreciate.
You got to edit it. Cut it right there, baby.
We do appreciate it. We appreciate all the VIPs in the DFS Army Discord. Make sure you click the link in the description. Join us in there. Great community of guys in DFS Army. Covers everything NFL season's coming at the preseason game. The Jets are up 6-0, baby. I'm sure they're going to lose and break my heart all fucking season because that's the life I live as a Met Jet Islander fan.
Oh no.
Oh man, I was really excited for this card. I just made myself sad talking about other sports. But anyway, you guys should join us in the DFS Army Discord. Comment on this YouTube video. Let me know what you think of the kill shots. If you got a different one, do you like Monk's pick of Harris? Do you like the Rob Font pick? Do you think Damon Jackson should count, or do you think we're way the fuck off and should do something else? I want to read those comments. I will respond to them throughout the week. Monk, you got anything before we get out of here?
That's it. Again, this is a great card for DraftKings, in my opinion. Lots of high scores, a few great matchups. Looking forward to this one, guys. Let's stack it up. I want to see those helmets in the DFS helmets in the winner's circle this week. Let's go.
Helmets up, boys. Good luck in those contests. See you next time.